So scroll down to the bottom. And for context, this process should probably take a little bit longer than we're doing here, Will, because I'm not going to have you Minesweep literally everything. That you can do that on your own time. But go ahead and click on Minesweep. So while you're doing that and it's loading here, just a little bit of background, both for Will and those listening, because Will doesn't really know much about this either. This is something I got from the original guy who did the template that kind of led to my extensive template. There was a guy a while back. This would have been back in probably 2021 or 2020. I was trying to figure out a new system. I was using Notion at that point, and my system was very basic in Notion up to that point. And this guy had a para template, and this is where I got para from before I knew what it was. He was using the para method, projects, areas, resources, and archived is what para stands for. And within that template, he had this system called Minesweep. So you actually only use this once. Once you use this, you can ignore this page. I think technically on mine, I put it into the pages toggle I had below that stores some of the other pages in the system. You only really need to do this once. This idea is you basically brain dump everything that you have in your life, this personal and work. And it's set up in order of the way you would do it. So the first thing you do is you brain dump. And a couple things about the thing above brain dump that's on our screen right now, and this is helpful for you too, Will. You know some of this already, but just a little bit. This gives the definitions of some of the stuff you're going to see, right? So an area, we've already talked about this. This is something ongoing. You probably have tasks associated with this. It might be repeatable or something you need to do. Like, for instance, looking up the 21 Pilots concert, Will, that we were going to go to, went into my family/personal area. Got
it.
But they're not considered projects. They never end. Active project is something you're currently working on as a project. But the thing, honestly, the terminology is not amazing because I set this up originally for myself and turned it into a template. We'll adapt some of these areas later. Active project is technically an active work project. So this is something for your actual job. These are specific initiatives with clear and start end dates. They involve tasks. They're clear objective. P project is the same thing as active project. It's just personal and unrelated to your work. Same with P area. It's just a personal area. The reason that matters is it dictates some of the back-end filtering that happens on a task. Every task and project technically has like a check mark field or property that's just called personal, and it's checked if it's personal, and it's unchecked if it's not personal. So making sure you have the right category, just make sure that your tasks in that project or area get tagged correctly. So that if you're ever doing filtering, like you don't want to see your personal tasks in something, or you only want to see work tasks in something, you can filter to that, like the filters we were looking at on the My Day.
Which is the filter I already took out of things earlier, but I can put that back at any time.
You can put it back in.
A moment ago, we were in a task, and we saw that checkbox, right? So folks, that's already in place for you. You can take advantage. I've added some parentheses there just as some notes for myself, because this is my Notion. I get to do what I want.
Yeah. So you can do what you want to hear. And then someday/maybe is really only important for the Minesweep. It's a project or something that isn't currently in process, but might happen. Where it was helpful in the Minesweep is I just put it in, because basically what we're going to do, Will, is we're going to brain dump stuff. And then when you're done brain dumping, you're going to review your official projects list, someday maybe list, and figure out, does any of this stuff need deleted? Does a someday maybe need to become a project? Right. You're just trying to figure out what you have because you've never used the system before. So it's helping you kind of get everything out of your brain into this brain so that you can start using everything.
I'm so very excited by this, and I know that Josh is going to take me a little bit further, and we're going to do some. I bet you, like, we'll practice it,
we'll do it here,
folks.
In a second.
I'm already thinking through when I'm going to do this in depth. I'm going to light some candles. I'm going to get a preferred beverage. I'm going to sit down, and it's going to be like writing a haiku. It's going to be an emotional, spiritual experience to take all the junk that's in my brain and sweep it out. Because when I'm looking at this, and the goal of this practice is to get the things that you hold and leave mental space for you. Josh is setting a vigil on screen. Thank you.
I'm hoping
when you hold these things mentally, they take up space, and they're things that for me create anxiety. It's like, oh, I gotta, and I'm already thinking in this brain dump, there's going to be things for my house, there's going to be things for my car, there's going to be like, and I, it may not become areas, whatever, like, but I'm already thinking through the categories like car, house, technology. Like, technology is actually a big thing that takes a lot of my mental space from time to time, because I support family. I have a lot of tech in my own house. Like, it may not be something that's a recurring task, but I'll tell you, technology is a big area that takes mental space for me. So it's like, it's going to go into my brain dump, and maybe technology is something that goes on the someday / maybe list, and it doesn't make the final product. But I'm looking forward to, like, practically drawing myself a bubble bath and sitting down to do this brain dump and just get it all out, because there is way too much stuff in my head. I already told you folks, I write things down, I put things in notepads, I put all my stuff goes everywhere. And this is going to be the practice, the mind sweep, to get it on the paper, or on the digital Notion paper. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
It's going to
And
be
to Will's
self-care,
point-
practically.
To Will's point, the areas as we're doing this, it can be whatever you want. The only definition that I think really matters is to remember an area is something that's ongoing, and a project is something very specific with start and end dates. Beyond that, do whatever you want, whatever makes the most sense for you as you're doing this. Like, Will's way he's already laying stuff out is already massively different than my own areas. But I also refuse to help my family with technology, so I don't need tech as an area of my life. But
well, and so I'll make
yeah.
a quick, like, example. You tell me. I think I'm on track here, but you tell me, like, selling my house is a project, because it has an end date. I plan to no longer have the house. But because I own a house, caring for it, maintaining it, updating it, renovating it, living in it, these are things that do not necessarily have an end date. There will be projects in that, right? If I want to renovate my house, that becomes a project. If I want to, if I specifically need to keep up with, like, the filters and light bulbs and batteries, like, those are tasks that might recur. But, like, my house, I think I'm on track, is an area, and then it's going to have tons of time-based projects and tasks in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Yeah, the way you're bringing up, like, my house versus, like, selling the house or renovating, those are different things, right? You probably have regular stuff. So yeah, so let's start throwing some stuff in, right? Are you actually selling your house?
No, it's a very clean example. I love my house. I'm not trying to sell my house.
Yeah, clean house. You are renovating though, right? You will be renovating.
We want to. Yeah, we want to. So one of those things is renovate
this is a perfect example.
The basement.
Yeah, so let's renovate the basement in there, and let's delete selling your house, because it's just giving me stress already thinking about that. So
okay,
let's just delete that. So renovate the basement. So let's in my house. Let's do this. So the next thing you do is you're doing your brain dump, right? If you already know what something is, probably, then you can give it a type, and the type is very important. This is going to dictate where it goes in the system. Okay, so area, or personal area, because this would be a personal area, right? So you'd want to do P area. Renovate basement would be personal project, right? So you do P project. And before we start filling out other fields, let's just start adding in some more stuff, right? So let's for this, we don't need to add in everything. You can do that on your own, but let's add in like one or two maybe work things. Maybe good that you're allowed to share on a podcast episode. You can just call it day
I'm going to
job.
keep things generic.
Let's
just stay generic. But okay, so I'm trying to think through. Like would you? I have some car stuff. I'm the car guy in my family, right? I take care of it. So that is an area for me that I'm always. I have to keep track of the license and the renewal and the oil change and blah blah blah. So car works for me.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a P area. But the day job would be just an area. But now within the day job, is day job too broad? Because like let's put it out. I'll put it out here. Like I run the LMS, and I create e-learning. Right? Like these are two big responsibilities in my job.
Yeah.
So is that,
Yeah, I would
is
agree.
this,
I would agree on
is
that
day job
breakup.
too broad? And
I think day job would be too broad as an area personally. That would be my take. Like, give you an example because I just left a job, so I can talk about that current job all I want. Without breaking anything. I was on the leadership team, so a work area for me was leadership team. I oversaw the instructional technology team. So an area in my life was the instructional technology, or work was instructional technology team. When I was an LMS admin was a section, an area that I had versus instructional design. Right? These were areas in my job I was responsible for. Even my new job, without giving a ton of information, I already know I'm a part of the instructional design leadership team. So there's an area that I have called ID leadership. There's a larger team that I'm a part of, the instructional design team overall, where there might be tasks and stuff that happen on a regular basis related to the ID team that's not specifically a part of my leadership responsibilities. But my responsibilities is a part of the ID team. So I have a separate area for that section, right? So like that's kind of how I break up work. At the end of the day, I had more work areas than personal, but that was because I didn't break up quite as much as you did in personal. I just had kind of a drop bag area called family personal, and then a drop bag area called budget. But the way you're breaking up areas is totally fine. I know people who get a lot more specific. And I probably could benefit from getting a little bit more specific in some areas because it would help me probably be more accountable in those areas, if I'm being honest. So
well, and like this is person to person stuff, right? Where in my family, in my household, like my wife cares for many things. She's very, very organized, very scheduled on her processes. So like I don't process the financial side of our household. She is a financial planner. Like it is fully within her desires and responsibilities for our family to take care of finances. She does not want anything to do with the car. So like it stands out to me like I have to keep track of the car. It's one of my things, so that it rises up there. House, we make decisions about our house together, but like if it's I put in the filters, I change the light bulbs, I change the batteries. Like those are those things that stand out to me, like why I would put them. But now you're right, like I don't want to make something for groceries. I don't want to make something. I do the groceries, some of them, but I don't want to do something for groceries. I don't need to do something for laundry. Like I don't need to get that specific at this level. The house may actually include things like laundry or something. Like I might put some of those things in there, but then I think it might be fair to say, like you did, a kind of a family personal drop bag for stuff like laundry, groceries, whatever, if something significant, or like trips, right? If I'm planning a vacation, or if I need to do changes to something, like this feels like a good spot. I just know that these are responsibilities of mine that I want to make sure I'm caring for.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the sake of this example here, Will, because I know you don't want to put in like work stuff. At this point, let's pretend renovate basement. You already called it a personal project. It's not a someday maybe thing. So let's pretend you actually have a time frame for that project, because we are going to need a project to show. I know that that's still something you're working on. So in reality for Will, because he doesn't actually quite have that figured out yet, that might have been a someday maybe thing. But because we're displaying some stuff, let's
I have some thoughts in mind now. I'm like, because it is something we're actively doing. I actually have, so I'm just gonna, for the moment, go broad. You tell me if I need to get, like, we started this in June, and our goal is to have it done by the end of the year. So that's where I'm thinking when I think time frame.
Yep, I think you're good. Let's put that time frame on there. Then you can just click out of the calendar.
Cool.
So that'll have that
and,
there. Go ahead and delete example project and example area, because you're here with me.
Okay.
And we'll worry about status. We'll worry about status later. I think that's what you're about to do.
Got it.
So this system is set up to set status, which is actually called progress on this template, is set to do it as scheduled automatically. You can ignore doing that. The actual work you're going to do once you're done with brain dumping is all going to be done in the rest of the other areas. So for this space, what I'd focus on is title, type, time frame. Possibly when I did mine, I did put in some information and desired outcome, but for this video, we don't need to do that. So if you want to scroll sideways here for a second, let's make sure there's nothing else we need to fill out. Desired outcome is just like your own thing. That's just for your own help. We'll put in short name later and
renovated basement.
Yeah,
right.
Percent complete is a formula field set up to look at the amount of tasks you have versus the amount of tasks that are set to done. It's just a system that'll tell you what percent complete you are with the project. I go back and forth on the leveraging that field because sometimes it's like, is it really that done? Because I add tasks later, but whatever. We'll deal with that later. So let's go ahead and scroll down to clarifying project checklist. Let's make sure we don't have anything under there because I deleted it all. That's good. So we can ignore that. We got to delete that from our template. Listener, hopefully I deleted this by the time you use this template if you did.
You get to using it.
Yeah, so we can remove that. We've already started to, you haven't put in much someday maybe stuff, so we don't need to do this in the video, but if you just want to pop those toggles open,
Would I
explain that?
I would do that in these tables separately. It's not like I'm putting them in up here and then they organize it. Like you actually go to this list, you're putting stuff on these lists.
Manually. It's all the same. It's all the same database. So the brain dump idea is just, you're literally just dumping everything in and you're off your first reaction categorizing it. The other lists in this section is more for you to take a little bit of time. For context, my Minesweep, when I first did it, took a day or two. I took some time with it. The idea is that you've never used the system before, so it's helping you categorize things before you start using it, right? So in this case, we already started to talk through some stuff because I'm here live with Will, so we're already working through some of that stuff. But that's how you would use this. And Will, on your own candle bath time, you can figure that out on your own if you would like. So
add in
does that make sense?
Bottles of wine and we're good to go. Yeah. This is great. So definitely spend make a list here. This is the first spot. Drop my list in. Keep going for projects. Keep going for areas. I'm noticing the projects are coming down here, so I don't need to add renovate the basement came down here. But is there a spot up here? Do I pick something? Okay, someday maybe. So do all of my work here, and I'm gonna just throw on an example so we can see it live. Example someday. I don't have something in mind, frankly. So example
I thought
someday,
you were right, like make millions.
Guy. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there we go. Make millions. Yep, done. Okay, someday maybe. And so that's come down here, and that's coming down here. So just so the viewer can see, that's what's happening. You add them at the top, it'll organize them down here for you then to review them and see if you're going to keep them, get rid of them, and just read and follow Josh's beautiful directions. Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so for the sake of time and what we're on in this video, Will, and what we've done, you've done most of this, right? You'll add more in later. Once you're done with Minesweep, okay, you can go back to your main dashboard, your My Day area, or whatever you decided to title it, right? So in this case, there's no navigation here, Will, so you can use the breadcrumb because we didn't build in. So from here, you now have your areas and projects. So go ahead and click on areas.
I love that this starts with an area being vacation. Yeah, we love vacation.
Yeah. So fun fact about this, I don't think I have any of this grouped. That was a feature I added later. So hopefully I made some of these changes. I ended up grouping it by area and by the type. This is already set to filter to just areas, not projects. So what that did is it created two blocks for me, work areas and personal areas. It was just the more areas I got, it felt necessary. You don't necessarily need that here if you already know stuff, So I don't think I did that till I was a manager, and I just felt like I had a lot of stuff going on. So you have these areas here. So let's use one to set up. So you already were doing, what was the task you put on My Day? It was like something about breakfast.
Eat breakfast, yeah.
Eat breakfast. So that would probably go under family and personal, right? Unless you consider that a house thing.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
so let's yeah. So the progress status field for areas doesn't really matter. It's just because they're both in the same database. This is one of my friends who took this, ended up separating areas and projects into two databases when he learned how to use it more because he was annoyed by stuff like this. I don't care. So I leave them there. You can put them whatever you want. I put them into in progress just because every area in my life is in progress. The only thing that matters about this field is if an area, this just recently happened for me in job changes, if an area is no longer a part of your life, in progress will, if you want to click on that so you can open up the options, there is a, oh, I don't have it in this one. If you select on hold, it will disappear. I eventually added another column, another field called archived area. In my own personal one recently. But you can, again, like Will has shown and we've shown, you can add whatever you want in there. You just need to make sure filters are changed and stuff like that. So to set up an area, you don't need to add a time frame because it's always going on. All you need to do is create a short name. Okay, so let's start there, Will. Under short name field, just start typing in whatever you want.
Okay. Bam.
Knew it. I knew that's what you were gonna do. Okay, and then let's scroll down. So here are the main templates. Okay, so you're gonna want to click on personal area starter template because this is a personal area. And then we'll let it load and watch the magic happen. Okay, so
wow.
Let me explain each of these areas. Responsibilities, this was just me defining what the area was. Again, on the page, I don't use it nearly as much anymore, so you can feel whatever you want to do with that, you can. The two key bread and butter things is the project manager and the research/notes. Project manager connects to the task database, which is set to filter to only tasks in that area, and research and notes connects to the resources database we see on the main page. And so it's set to filter. So if you create stuff from here, like you hit new at the bottom of the database, it will automatically filter to that area, right? And it's going to automatically set it as not started in the task area. So you can set as eat breakfast. Now, I will say, let's use this as an example here for a second. Will, you said eat breakfast happens, I'm assuming, on a daily basis, right? You eat breakfast. I don't put these types of things in my task thing, although I probably should because I don't remember to eat breakfast. So this is a repeat task. We're gonna use this as an example here for a second. Will, this is actually not the way you'd want to put it in, unless you want to keep manually putting it in every time you want to put it in. So let's go ahead and delete this.
No, thank you.
Okay. And I'll tell you what to do. Okay.
Love it.
So up where it says new, click on the caret next to new. So what we're about to do is we're about to add a task template. Now, few notes here, folks. If you're curious, Harness Tech, our company, has tons of tutorials on Notion. So you can go to harnesstech.us to find those. I have tutorials on how to create templates and things in Notion, exactly what we're doing here. Okay, small plug. Okay, let's click new template.
Well,
and then title it Eat Breakfast, whatever you'd like to call it.
I don't know that I'm set on this one being one, but it's like I think it's a good example, and it is something I am trying to improve in my life. So you
can always delete this later.
Right.
You do need to select under time frame, so click time frame, and then click up top. It says now and today. Click today. So what this is it's telling Notion when this gets created, because Notion will duplicate it. It'll create it. It's telling it on the day that it's created, set that as the due date. Okay. Yeah. So once you do that, then you can click out of it. It's going to say, like it's saying June 30th, but it won't. Once you click out, it'll say today. Under time, you can preset it in the time slot you want it in your block, 8 to 9.
It's a good time to eat. It's a good time to eat.
Side note, usually for my auto creation ones, I auto put the status to priority. Just because I do use priority, even stuff that's like due today, I use it to show exactly what I'm going to be working on today.
Yep, I like that.
And then in project page, click in that and select family and personal. This is one area you'll have to pre-select it. Yep, and then you can click out. Okay, so let's click out of the template now. So you have the template created. Click back on the arrow next to new.
That's where those
Okay.
templates will show up.
And then click on the 3 dots next to it.
Okay. Repeat.
Yes, so let's set your repeat
Daily.
setting.
Love it. Every 1
And
days.
then you can tell it's, yeah, because it's every day. You can tell when you want it to start. So if you actually want to, like, whenever you want to use this, if you're going to delete this and you're not sure what you want to do, it's fine. You can always come back in and edit this.
I'll just leave it be. Cool.
Yeah.
And if I click this here, it'll pop into my tasks.
Yes, if you want to manually do it. Now that you set up repeat, Notion will do it every day at midnight, though, for you automatically.
Okay.
So you don't have to
Well,
populate it, but you can also use that template to do it.
I did eat breakfast today, so now it's like, oh yeah, cool. June 30th, I did that. Huzzah.
There you go. Nailed it.
Good for me.
Yeah. I don't have areas currently set up to filter out done tasks on this page, but you can always edit the filter if you want to
Sure.
in that area. So that's how to basically set up an area. You can go under, if you would scroll down to research and notes real quick, just to highlight that one more time. If you create stuff here, that's a page, and that'll be a resource in that area. So you can title it whatever you want.
Right. If I need to make a list of something, or I need to get notes together or whatever, boom, this is where I would put it. It's tagged to my family personal stuff. Huzzah.
Tells you when it was created, and then theme is just a tagging system. So you can open theme and we'll see what's actually there.
Yes.
Notes, learning resource, documentation, planning. There are options. You can add whatever you want to here, just like you can with any other select field.
Right. Cool.
Okay.
Beautiful.
There you go. So let's scroll back up here. There's just real quick a note about related projects and databases. That one thing that's there that I didn't really highlight very much. You can use this if you want. I currently tag projects by the area that they're under. Not everybody does that who's used this system. That was something I added because of some project management and kind of like life management stuff I was doing at the time. I am not consistent with that, I'll be honest. So it's one of those things you can use it if you want. If not, you can literally just leave it there. It won't do anything, or you could delete it out of the area template so it doesn't show up every time. It's up to you how you want to do that. Cool. Let's go to projects. I think that's the last thing we'll do for this recording. So
go back to Wellspring, and then projects. And again, here's the breadcrumb, folks, that we can go to my day, areas, resources as needed, or here's the project page content.
Okay, so now your project's not showing up, which is interesting. This is the one thing I wanted to know. Go up to filter. How we did before. There's a filter on this one? Interesting, because I thought I looked at the template, it didn't have a filter. Active project. Okay, so it is filtering out currently personal projects. This is why I thought there might be a chance it's doing this. Go click next to type where it says is.
Yep.
You see that? I think actually you can leave. Sometimes I get confused between Airtable and Notion. Click where it says active project. They have slightly different filtering systems, and just select P project as an option as well
to bring in the information from.
So that'll bring that in. I'll change that on our template when we're done here, so that way, because again, I used to keep my personal and work stuff very separated in the system. I didn't want to see them together. That changed a couple years ago for me, and I think there's good reason behind it. So this is your project space. I love timelines. Will probably change this after we're done, because I know he does not like timelines nearly as much as I do. But I use timelines for project stuff. So the default is timeline. You'll see the status there is scheduled. You can change that. You're doing it. So let's change that to in progress. This is where I would change the status after your mind dump.
Gotcha.
% complete will start showing up as Will puts in tasks. And it's set to view by month, Will. If you go over to where it says open in calendar, don't click it, but click month. Yep. And then you can change what you do. I usually do like quarter or a year. That's kind of my view, because I like having it zoomed out a little bit more.
Are you a sadist? Wow. Ew.
Well, I mean, I have usually mine's light right now because I'm in a new job, but I mean, I had like anywhere between. I track projects also my other team members are working on that I'm responsible for. So I mean, my project list at one point had like 13 things in just the work area, plus our other like 3 or 4 harness tech projects. So, and I do a lot of planning on this timeline. This is why I like timelines. I'll input future projects that might be happening. So just a note here, once you're done with your initial Minesweep, when you're actually using the system, you don't need to go back into the Minesweep to add a project. If you need to add a project, you just click new at the bottom. It'll add a new project to the list. And then you can go through some of the steps I'm about to show Will to set stuff up. So Will, you can click into your renovate the basement because this is a real project.
Should I make it big? We're going to work on it a little bit.
Yeah, let's make it a full page for this. All of my stuff is set to side peek just because sometimes I like to have stuff open on the side when you're actually using this, but you can always open in full page. So same thing with an area, you're going to want to add a short name for it so it shows up on your dashboard. Yep. And folks, if you're like me when you've been using this for now 3 years, that short name list will be gigantic. You never have to select it after you're literally just adding it in. It will start tagging everything correctly. You never have to actually select things from that short name column like you would a normal select. And then this is a personal project, so you'll click personal project starter template. You'll note there's a project starter template while Will's doing this. There's project starter template for work stuff. It's just not labeled personal. Same thing with area. And again, really all that does is make sure that checkbox on the back end happens correctly. To make sure that things are categorized.
And here we have just a wonderful breakdown of my internet and
yeah. Well, sometimes it also takes a while because there's a lot of database stuff. Okay, a couple things that's different about projects. Okay, and actually I've even changed my stuff since then, but I didn't put that in the template because it's very specific to what I do. You do have some navigation items to projects and areas. I just found it hard to get around sometimes in the project space, so I added those. There's a table of contents toggle that allows you to access the different areas, but that has become obsolete as of a few months. No, just like a month ago. Will knows this. Notion added their own table of contents on every page. So you don't really need that. There's a couple stuff that I used to use on projects. Will, you can edit the template however you want. Down the road. This is project or idea. It's just basically what do you want to create? What are the outcomes? How do you plan to get those outcomes? It's some project management stuff. Folks, if you want to try using that, you've never done project management before on your own projects or planning out your stuff, this is not a bad model to use. If you don't, just edit the template like we were doing earlier when we were creating the repeat task. You just do that in the project database there, and you can change that to whatever you want. Yeah. Again, the two biggest things are project manager, that's linked to the tasks database, and research/notes is linked to the resources database. So Will, just for fun, let's add in a fake task, or if you actually have a task here, well, whatever you'd like to do, let's add something in. That would be thoroughly important. Do you have a time frame? Do you have a time frame for when you want to have that done? Either
yes. We already started. And then I want to get it settled by the end of July. Like we're trying to get it done here and picked in the summertime so we can do it later this year. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
And it is in progress.
You can put it in progress. And a couple things, actually open up the status field one more time. Well, let's talk through just real quick what those statuses are. We've seen a couple of them. Not started means you haven't started. Obviously, priority means it's going to show up on your My Day no matter what. Delegated goes to someone else. Will's already used in progress correctly. It's something that you're currently working on. And so you're working on it. And waiting is just if you're waiting for something. And I don't feel like I have to explain done because,
wait,
that
what
means
happens
it's
then?
done. So
yeah.
that's where it is. So yeah, you can click out of that.
Cool.
If you want.
Cool.
Yeah. So to set up a project, you just start adding in your tasks. You continue adding in your tasks as you're setting up the project. then this is going to be your hub for that project, folks. So same, Will, with you. This is something that I know becomes confusion sometimes on Harness Tech. I highly recommend, if you're going to create a whole bunch of tasks or create a resource or notes thing for that project, go to the project page to create it. It'll just make sure all your filters are set up correctly. It'll make sure it's properly linked to the project. Tasks and resources in Notion get linked to this project page by the filters that are on these databases in the project page. If you don't do it here, you'll have to manually link it to the project. I do that sometimes because I very much know Notion, so it's fine for me to do. Will, you know this. You and Chris on our team, sometimes in Harness Tech, don't always do it from the project page, and I will occasionally find tasks in our database that aren't linked to anything. They're just kind of like floating. That's why. So
yes, that's me. I do that. Now
so
it makes more sense knowing this.
Highly recommend it. Okay, so yeah, that's not your guys' fault. I've not done a good job of onboarding the two of you or explaining all of that because we've been moving very quickly. But this now helps you understand why that's the case. And that's all you need to do. Set up a project. I add an emoji for my projects and a banner at the top in Notion just because I like to, have fun things. My personal favorite is the project I really didn't want to work on. And so the emoji was a fire emoji and the banner was the dog in a burning office. This is your personal area, so you can have fun with it.
This is fine.
Yeah, this is fine.
Perfect.
To get back, this is the one key thing I want to mention. The breadcrumb is not very helpful. So let's just show why for a second. We'll go ahead and click on project area /list for me.
Okay.
That's going to take you back to the database itself, everything. It's the one thing in Notion with setting up database stuff like this. It's kind of annoying. So go ahead and hit back. So we go back to the project page and then scroll down. This is why those navigation buttons are there.
Projects and areas.
If you want to go back to projects and areas, that's the quickest way. If you want to go back to your dashboard, your main area, you can use the breadcrumb and click on that title. It'll be the last thing. So like in Will's, it says Will's Brain. So you click on that, that will take you back there. But if you want to go back to your projects page or your areas page, you want to use this buttons. In this case, we're going to come back here because I want to show everybody something. So let's scroll down to our My Day. So, and let's delete your original Eat Breakfast that you created. That's actually the original one. Yep. Okay, and so nothing's here, but Will, if you click on Timeline, up at the top, it's one of the view options. This will give you a timeline of your tasks. Now, it's probably because this database thing's originally set up to filter out all personal. You're going to have to click on the filter options again. Sorry, I realized I'm going to need to change that in the template.
It's all good.
So let's go ahead and delete out those personal checkboxes.
Dump it. Dump it.
And dump it. Oh. Now, in theory, it should bring back up all your stuff.
Let's take a look. Status is priority. Oh, this. I don't think it's going to qualify on any of these because of how I set the. Because we finished Eat Breakfast. It's done. Yeah, Eat Breakfast is done, and then the renovate thing isn't a priority item. It's in progress, and it has dates that are outside of these.
Yeah, this might be. So, folks listening, my template is probably set up to some old filters. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I changed my timeline filter for this exact reason. I originally had a problem where I was trying to filter to what is my current filter.
But if I go back to that project, and I just say that this is a priority, where is it? Oh, priority's not here.
Well, yeah, because there's no priority status on projects. Go back to My Day.
At a project,
because I think we're going to want to change the filters on your items. I'm just looking here. Let's for now just remove all those filters. Because honestly, Will, you're going to end up. Yeah, we're going to end up changing things quite extensively, probably.
For my actual use, yeah. There we go. There's Eat Breakfast.
Oh, you did that on my workday. That's not what I meant. I meant the timeline. Hit Control Z several times.
1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Timeline.
Hey, go to
Delete
timeline.
these.
No, you want my day filtering it properly. Timeline, you do not. So let's go ahead and delete those.
There we go. Find contract to eat
There we go.
breakfast. There we go.
So you can see that stuff sitting there. Now, a few tips here. Well, I'll share mine real quick. A few tips that I eventually
share
did
your
as I
screen?
started building out. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Okay, so we should be sharing here. Let's pop that. Yep, there we go. Okay, so a few notes here about mine. I'm sorry, it decided to go into small mode. I ended up grouping Will. So in the settings, there's a way to group. So you can come into group and tell what to group by. I ended up grouping by status because I found the timeline kind of hard to use when I wasn't like when you actually had like extensive amount of tasks built out.
Right.
So what I did was I grouped by status, and what that allowed me to do is what I would do is I would go down into not started. I would just like look, and no, folks, these aren't all tasks; these are meetings. I put my meetings in here too. You can scroll down, see where things are, and then like if I'm like, oh, I want to work on this today, even though it's due today, it would show up, right? I would still put it to priority because this is me trying to figure out what I wanted to do. This is how I figured out what I wanted to do for the day. And be like, I want to, look at this. I'm going to prioritize that. So it pops up. So that's going to force it onto the dashboard as well. So that was kind of what I did. The other thing that was helpful about that is I could always go down because in progress stuff is not necessarily going to show up unless it's due. It would show me my in progress stuff and I could prioritize it. Same with delegated. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Wow.
Well, folks, we're already like an hour on this video, which is there's a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah.
I think for those watching, this is the best that it has been helpful. I'm sure Will have plenty more questions when we're done, and lots of other stuff he'll want to customize and play around with. But for the sake of this video, this is generally the starting place you're going to do to use this template, is what we just did with Will. From there, my recommendation is if you're not super familiar with Notion, just use it for a month or two. You'll start to get familiar with it by using it, and then you can start really playing with what's there. If you do know Notion a little bit, or you're tech savvy, your databases, go open up all the filters, open up stuff that I've done there. Not everything that I did there is going to be the best for you. It was what was good for me in 2020 when I created this template, and I've made a few edits since then to make sure that it's worked. But I have changed filters, systems, very obviously, because I didn't know that certain things were still there over the time. That's what I love about Notion, is that I can very slowly adapt it to what I need in that moment. And so I've adapted pieces of this over time to different things, or mainly through filtering or adding new select options and groupings. But that's what we did. So I hope this helps. I hope you like the series. Folks, continue to be checking it out wherever we're at. Again, you can check out everything on our website or email us at inbox@hightechpod.us. We'd love to hear from you, as well as on the socials. We will be posting there a lot more now that we have a social media manager. So make sure you follow us. We're usually at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod, depending on the social platform. So you can check that out as well. Yeah.
Awesome.